sakes. I left messages for you all over the county.
Why?
Your phone hasn't stopped ringing all day.
Creditors?
Haven't you read the Gazette?
I don't waste time reading the newspaper when I'm out fishing.
But you got a radio.
Only for the Tiger-Yankee game.
While you were out there fishing and listening to baseball games, we were having this one hell of a murder in the Upper Peninsula of the great state of Michigan. Not only murder, rape too. One hell of a rape. This is the defendant, Lieutenant Manning, U.S. Army, charged with murdering Barney Quill, bartender at the Thunder Bay, and claimed Barney raped Manning's wife, Laura. This handsome tomato here. The one that's been calling you all day. Left a number where you could reach her.
Guy doesn't need a lawyer, he needs an act of Congress.
What do you mean?
Well, unless this reporter's cockeyed, and I know him and he's not, it's an open and shut case. I never had it so easy when I was DA. I used to sweat for my convictions.
You afraid of Mitch Lodge come of a sudden?
That squirt? Hell no. Why should I give him the satisfaction of beating my brains out in court after he beat me out of my job in the last election?
Don't go mixing politics with the law, Paul. They're two different animals. This is a tough one, all right. But it's just the kind of big, juicy case you need to set you up as a defense attorney.
Even if I lose.
Even if you lose. As long as you fight like hell. You want to spend the rest of your life messing around with divorce cases? You want to hang around probate court, whacking up decedent estates between the tax collectors and the surviving loved ones? Is that what you want to do with your life?
Well, why didn't this one go to Amos Crocker? I thought Willie the Weeper got first crack at all these daisies.
They tried him. He's in the hospital with a broken leg. Well, it's better to be second choice than not on the list at all. Look, Polly, you need this case, and you need it bad. The fishing season only lasts 4 months, and you can't catch and freeze enough trout to feed you the rest of the year. It's a hell of a case. Hell of a case indeed. And I only wish I were in it. And it's been many a year since I wished that about any case.
You really think they ought to take this on, huh, Parn?
If you get it, they may have got themselves another lawyer while you were out there tormenting those innocent little fish. Look, Polly, you gotta quit moping about losing that election and get out and hustle. I know you miss the glory of being DA and the regular paycheck, but the next election's a long ways off, and politics being what it is, you can't be sure you beat Mitch Ladwick then either. But in the courtroom, though, you got a chance. I know you got a chance.
All right, I guess we'll give her a call. But if I take this on, all right, if I can get it, I want you in it with me, right up to the hill.
Polly, I'm retired. You know that. By choice and by bottle.
Well, unretire yourself. Hello, Thunder Bay Trailer Park. Mrs. Laura Mannion, please. Paul Beakley calling. I want you and I'll need you. All these years as DA, I trained myself to convict. Now I'd have to defend. I need a smart old goat like you who's forgotten more law than I ever knew and keep me on the straight and narrow.
I'll do it, Paul. On one condition.
What's that?
That Parnell McCarthy stays behind the scenes. Your client can know, of course, but nobody else.
Why not, Mark?
Well, the sight of seeing this bloated, whiskey-drinking, red-nosed old man sitting at a council table would be enough to queer any case. And Lord knows you got hurdles enough to get over without adding me.
Well, I don't believe it for a minute, but I'll accept your terms if you'll accept one condition of mine.
And what's that?
That we split the fee right across the board.
Polly,
That's it. We either split the fee or there's no partnership in the case.
I'll do it. I'll do it to help you and human and gender swim.
Good. Oh, hello. Yeah, Mrs. Manning, Paul Beekler calling. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't call you back earlier. I've been really busy. Yes, I read about it in the newspaper. What do you have in mind?
century.
I didn't know they had cigarettes and holders that long ago, let alone tobacco.
They did.
That eye chart, Lieutenant, that's used to test applicants for driver's license. Can you make it out?
CHP, THP, CVLNE. Made in USA.
Well, there goes one possible line of defense right out the window.
What's that?
Well, we can't very well claim that your shooting Barney Quill was a case of mistaken identity. Look, Lieutenant, before we discuss your case, let's talk about you a little bit. Helps a lawyer kind of get a feel for the case, what the psychologists call, I believe, a frame of reference.
I wouldn't know.
How old are you?
36.
And your wife?
30.
Is this your first marriage?
No.
Why don't you just give me the matrimonial score and save us both a lot of time?
Is all this necessary?
Let me be the judge.
It's my second.
How did the first one end?
Divorce.
Did she get it or you?
She.
What grounds?
Cruelty. Eating crackers in bed, that sort of thing. The real grounds were that she found another man during the war. I did not fight the case.
Well, during the war, did you serve in the European or Pacific theater?
Both.
Action in both?
Plenty.
Any decorations?
Plenty. Anybody who doesn't cut and run gets those. They're like K rashes.
Speaking of K, how about Korea?
I was there.
Any action?
Plenty. Got there just in time for the big bug out from the Yalu.
Any Korean decorations?
Plenty.
Tell me about Laura.
What do you want to know?
Well, let's start with matrimonial statistics, including present status.
I'm her second husband. She divorced the other one.
Did you know your predecessor?
Very well. We once served in the same outfit.
You mean you two were buddies?
You might call it that.
I see. So why don't you tell me where your former buddy was when you took up with his wife?
Germany. Army of Occupation.
And where were you two?
Georgia.
I see. Made for a pretty neat arrangement, didn't it? Now, either of you had any children from these previous marriages?
No.
How about the present one?
No.
Any prospects? Any prospects?
Not unless that dirty bastard Barney Quill knocked her up.
What kind of weapon did you use to shoot Quill?
German Mauser. War souvenir. World War II.
Let's see, that's semi-automatic, kind of like our 38.
Kind of.
Cops have it now, I suppose.
Yes, I gave it to the state police.
I see. How did you get this weapon? How and where? May possibly be important.
Is it necessary?
Look, Lieutenant, you tend to your military knitting and leave the Department of Legal BS to me, all right?
I took a patrol out early one evening. A dozen men. Combat intelligence said the Germans were retreating. But combat intelligence was wrong. We caught a burst of small arms fire and I lost 3 of my men outright. The rest of us hit the ground and stayed there. As it grew darker, I saw a flash of something gray disappearing behind a ruined chimney. I crawled in my belly in a wide circle until I finally got behind the chimney. I had to know how many of them there were.
Well, how many were there?
One lone sniper. I crawled within safe pistol distance, and then I let him have it.
In the back from behind?
He just shot 3 of my men. I didn't stop to pose him.
Go on.
He was an old lieutenant. Must have been around 60. He'd already been wounded. His arm was in a dirty sling. He looked like a battered old timber wolf caught in a trap. He still held on to the Mauser. He rigged up a rifle stock to it. He swore at me in German.
And?
He died. He was a good soldier, so I took his pistol as a souvenir.
Have you read the newspaper article about your case?
Yes, naturally.
Is it substantially correct?
Yes.
It says here that you have refused to amplify on your original oral statement to the police signed any other statements to the police?
No.
All right, so far so good. Now let's talk about a few things that may or may not have been in the paper. Did you see Barney Quill rape your wife?
No.
Did you see him beat her up at the gate?
No.
Or hear her scream as it said in the paper?
No. Well, I did seem to hear some screaming, but I may have been dreaming. Anyway, I met her at the trailer door.
So the first time that you heard about her being attacked by Barney Quill is when she told you?
Yes.
All right, what happened then?
Well, I took care of her, of course. She was in terrible shape. One eye was nearly closed. Both eyes and her face was badly bruised. So were her arms. Her skirt was torn. Her panties were missing, and
Go on.
and this man left this on her thighs.
What did you do?
I wiped it off and burned the evidence.
Right then and there.
Immediately.
Didn't it occur to you that that was pretty conclusive evidence? Didn't it?
Didn't it what?
Didn't it occur to you that you were destroying the best evidence that Quill had intercourse with?
It never occurred to me. I couldn't stand the sight of it. I couldn't get rid of it fast enough.
How long did you stay with your wife before you went to Quill's bar?
I don't remember.
Well, I think it's important, and I suggest you try.
Maybe an hour.
Maybe more.
Maybe.
Maybe less.
Maybe.
Look, Lieutenant, I don't mean to frighten you, but in my opinion, you've yet to give me a legal defense to this charge of murder.
Are you advising me to plead guilty?
Well, I may eventually, but that's not quite what I said. I wanted you to have the trained reaction of a man who's not without experience in cases of this kind.
But how about that bastard Barney Quill raping my wife? How about the unwritten law?
There's no such thing as the unwritten law. It's a folk myth that people die for regularly, like the notion that raw rhubarb is good for the clap, or all chorus girls lay, or night air is bad for you.
You said, die. There is no capital punishment in Michigan, is there?
No, there's not. But offhand, Lieutenant, I'd guess that if you're convicted of this charge, you just might wish there were.
You're right. I'd sooner die than spend my days in a place like this.
Well, that would be worse than this, much worse. This is just a way station on the way to hell. Have we disposed of the unwritten law?
I guess so. But unwritten or not, doesn't a man have a legal right to kill a man who's raped his wife? Isn't that the written law then?
Not after it's all over with, as it was in your case. You see, Lieutenant, it's not the act of shooting a man that makes it murder. It's the circumstances, the time, and purpose, state of mind, unless, of course, the act is legally excusable or justified.
Maybe I did catch Quill in the act. I've never precisely told the police one way or the other.
But you've told me. Besides, you would have to have killed him right then, not an hour or so later. The catching and the killing have to combine. In your case, Lieutenant, it's the time. Time is the rub. It's the elapsed time between the rape and the killing that makes your act of shooting Barney Quill look like a deliberate, malicious, and premeditated act, which is no more than the people have charged you with.
But can't the jury let me go, whatever the law is?
Oh, sure they can. Juries are apt to do the damnedest things. But I simply refuse to go into court and rely upon the charity or stupidity or the state of the liver of 12 jurors. Have I made myself clear?
I'm afraid so. Tell me more about this justification or excuse me, legal justification or excuse business.
Well, take self-defense. Classic example of justifiable homicide. No. Well, then there's the defense of habitation, defense of family, friends, and property. say you're being robbed and... No.
Go on.
Well, then there's the tricky and dubious defense of intoxication. Personally, I've never seen it succeed, but anyway, were you drunk?
I was cold sober.
Well, lastly, there's the defense of insanity. I guess that about does it.
Wait, tell me more.
No, there is no more.
I mean about insanity.
Oh, insanity. Well, when you can prove it, it's a complete defense to murder. It doesn't justify the act like self-defense does say, but you see, Lieutenant, our law requires that for a crime to be punishable, it has to be committed by a man who's capable of discerning right from wrong. A man is legally insane, well, the killing may still be murder, but the law excuses the perpetrator.
I see. And this perpetrator, what happens to him should he be excused?
They're sent to a hospital for the criminally insane until he's declared sane.
How long does it take to get him out of there?
I don't know, months, maybe a year. Being a DA, I never studied that aspect of it. I just got him in there. It was up to some other poor bastard to get him out. Besides, I never dreamed it would come up in this case.
Go ahead.
Well, I might add that the law regarding the hospital is added to discourage phony claims of insanity in criminal cases.
Yes?
The man who invokes the insanity defense is taking a calculated risk, kind of like the chance you took that lieutenant was alone behind that ship.
Maybe I was insane.
And why do you say that?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I must have blacked out. I can't remember a thing after I saw Barney Quill standing behind the bar that night until I got back to my trailer.
You don't remember shooting
Yes, that's what I mean.
or driving back to your trailer?
No.
Or threatening his bartender, a fellow by the name of Paquette, who followed you outside the bar when you said to him, "You want some too, Buster?"
I've never called anybody Buster in my life.
All right, Lieutenant, I'm gonna pitch you a fastball. Let's say you were insane and you did black out and don't remember anything. When you go back to your trailer, you turned yourself into the groundskeeper and said to him, "I just shot Barney Quill." Now, is that right?
That's correct.
Well, if you blacked out and don't remember anything, how did you know it? Who told you?
Well,
Come on, Lieutenant, think.
I am thinking. I'm trying to remember, damn it. All right. It's coming back. Barney Quill was the last thing I saw that night before I blacked out. In fact, his was the only face I saw in the whole damn place. My gun. I knew when I entered the bar room that the clip to my Mauser was loaded. When I got back to the trailer, I saw that it was empty. There's this thing that pops up. Don't you see? I figured I must have shot it. That's all, so I went and told the caretaker I had.
I see. So that's the way it is. I see.
Are you taking my case?
I don't know. Among other things, there's the small matter of my fee.
How much?
$3,000. Fair enough?
Fair enough. Thought it might be more.
Well, I can always raise it. I always want my customers to feel satisfied.
Oh, I'm real satisfied. $3,000 is most fair and reasonable.
Good. Can you pay?
It'll have to be later. Right now, I'm broke. I'm broke. Right now, I couldn't pay you $3.
Well, can you raise it?
No.
Well, how about your trailer?
Both it and my car are mortgaged to the hilt.
Relatives. Everybody's got a rich uncle.
I only have a married sister who lives in Dubuque. Both her and her husband owe me money.
Well, why did you get me down here then if you knew you couldn't pay me?
I needed a lawyer and I wanted the best.
Oh, sure. After Amos Proctor, you mean. Lieutenant, you caused me to waste a whole damn day on this case and you knew you couldn't pay me.
You didn't ask.
How much can you pay me and when?
I can pay you $150 on account next week. It's payday then.
You realize, of course, if I accept that, I'm in for the duration.
That's why I'm offering it.
Well, when can you pay me the balance?
I don't know. If I'm acquitted, I can give you a promissory note and pay you so much a month.
And if you're convicted?
Well, isn't that just another calculated risk? Like shooting German lieutenants and pleading insanity?
All right, let's get on with it. First thing we need to do is find a psychiatrist.
And before that, do I have a lawyer?
If you can come up with a down payment on payday, and if we're still talking to each other by then.
Okay, counselor. I just wouldn't want to waste any more of your valuable time.
Damn it, Mannion, I'm beginning to think that we're both crazy. But the psychiatrist is for you.
Why?
To prove your insanity. It's a medical question. We need expert testimony.
Well, if it's a medical question, wouldn't any doctor do?
Now, most of them don't know any more about it than you or I.
Oh, don't be modest, counselor. You're the one who injected insanity into this case.
I did not. I only told you what the legal defenses were. You told me the facts that made insanity a possible conclusion. Let's get that straight and keep it straight. It's a matter of legal ethics.
Suppose we find a psychiatrist and he says I'm not nuts.
When we keep hunting around through the laugh track, one we will.
Where do we start?
In your case, Lieutenant, it's not where do we start, but with what? Hell, man, you can't even pay me.
All right.
You're going to pay a psychiatrist.
What do I do?
Well, there's one place that we might get one, and I was half hoping that you might suggest it.
Where's that?
United States Army.
I don't know whether the Army would.
Well, I don't know if they will or not either. But maybe it's time that we took a little time out here to review the situation. To see just how serious this is. Number one, your only possible legal defense is insanity. Two, in order to do that, we need a psychiatrist. Three, you can't afford a psychiatrist. Four, we have to find one someplace else. Now, you get the picture?
I'll give you the name and phone number of my CO. You can call him.
Hello, Manny.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
Mr. Beagler?
Yes, Mrs. Mannion.
Mr. Beagler may take my case, Laura.
Well, I do hope you will, Mr. Beagler.
There are obstacles, Mrs. Mannion. When can you and I talk?
Well, now, if you like.
The sooner the better. I think Mrs. Mannion and I should talk alone, at least for the time being.
Okay. I'll leave you and Laura to talk. I'll see you later, huh?
Ooh. Marnie Quill really do that to you?
Marty quoted this.
You may want to put the glasses back on. You mind if I smoke?
Not at all.
First thing I had to do, I suppose, is find out if you intend to stay for the trial. Help, that is.
Well, why do you ask? What made you think I wouldn't stay?
Well, if I'm to become your husband's lawyer, I need to know you're a crucial witness in this case, and you're not planning to stay around for the trial. Stay and help, that is. I don't give him much of a chance. I figure his chances are no more than 50-50 as it is.
What did Manny tell you?
But what?
About us? About our lives together? About any plans we may have had for the future?
Not a thing. Not a hint, not a clue, that I swear.
How could you sense? Well, what made you doubt I'd stay?
Oh, just a standard question all lawyers ask. We like to be sure of our witnesses.
Was it because there was no sign of affection when we met just now? Was that it?
You staying for the trial, Mrs. Manning?
Yes, I'm staying. It's the least I can do for Manny.
Then yes, I noticed. You knew I did, and I wanted you to know I did. If you're going to stay for the trial, it's not a good idea that too many other people notice. This is a small, nosy town, and harmful, nasty little rumors have a habit of traveling at the speed of light.
I'll remember it. It's just that I'm so upset and
Afraid? Is that the word? Are you afraid of your husband, Mrs. Manning?
no, it's not fear exactly. It's something more subtle and degrading than that. Have you ever been jealous?
Oh, you mean of a woman I cared for?
Yes.
Oh, once or twice, I'm sure. Is jealousy causing tension between you and the lieutenant?
Jealousy covers it more nearly than any other word. Before we were married, I found it only flattering. It was later I discovered lack of opportunity. Oh, I like fun and flattery and men too, but not in the way Manny apparently thinks I do. Manny's really a grand person in many ways, but how can you continue to love a man who constantly makes you feel like a common streetwalker?
For example,
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we went to an army cocktail party at the hotel. Some silly, half-drunk second lieutenant I'd never seen before kept following me around, calling me Cleopatra. Well, finally, he grabbed and kissed my hand. It was one of those ridiculous things. Manny knocked him down. Well, I think he was half jealous of Barney Quill.
How do you mean?
Well, we've been to Barney's bar several times, about the only decent place in town to drink. Barney was the kind of man who'd flatter a witch on a broom if she was wearing a skirt. Anyway, one night he stopped by our table and he ran out his wretched little stock of compliments. Manny went into one of his more elaborate sulks. So we quit going to Barney's bar.
Was there ever an incident or a scene?
No, thank goodness. Manny just made me finish my drink in a hurry and we left. But it was utterly childish, and now it's so tragic, and I feel so guilty.
Have you told any of this to the police or anyone else?
Heavens, no. I told them all about, well, the incidents of that night, of course. I had nothing to hide.
No, not that night, nor during your lie detector test. I read in the paper that you took one.
Yes,
Whose idea was that?
it was mine. I read about them somewhere.
You know the results?
I haven't given it a thought. But if the machine's any good, there can only be one result. I told the truth.
Yeah, well, the results of a lie detector test aren't admissible in court anyway, but I sure intend to find out how it went.
Don't you trust me, Mr. Beaver?
Yes, I do, Mrs. Mann. I just wish I could trust a lie detector as much. All right, Laura. I want you to tell me everything that happened last Friday night, in every detail, just as you'll tell it to a jury. And I want to impress upon you that then, maybe even more so than now, that you've got to tell the truth at all times. The truth is the best little confounder of clever cross-examination in the business.
All right. I earned most of that afternoon. Manny came home from the firing point a little later than usual, around 6 o'clock. I mean the night of the shooting. I had dinner, but he was tired. He didn't want to eat, so he took a nap.
And those were her exact words to Barney Quill. If you do this to me, my husband will kill you.
Her exact words. Not once, but twice.
Who else knows she said that? Manny. Anybody else?
The police.
Charming.
As charming as that SOB Frederick Mannion.
Come on, Polly. No lawyer has to love his clients.
Well, I know, but as I sat there listening to him, I just kept thinking I sure wished I was still DA. Should Mitch Lodwick have all the fun of clobbering this guy?
I'm sure Mitch will have a witness or two for you to beat up on. It always works out like that. Anyway, did Mrs. Mannion tell her husband what she said to Quill before he went out and shot him?
No, she told him and the police at the same time as they were taking him in.
Okay, 1 point for our side.
All right, Barn, hit me with all of it. See if I can fight back.
All right, let's take a good look at your claim of insanity. If I were Mitch Lodwick, I'd keep harping on the fact that immediately after the shooting, Mannion apparently threatened to shoot the bartender and then gave himself up to the caretaker saying, "I just shot Barney Quill." In other words, Take me in, Mr. Policeman. Mission accomplished. I went there to get Barney, and by God, I got him. Why, even his wife, she knew of his jealous nature. She predicted he'd kill
Hey,
him.
objection on that jealousy business, Parn. That's insider information.
Objection overruled. Mitch Ladwick may be inexperienced, but he'll simply smell jealousy from her statement. And if he doesn't smell it, you sure can bet the jury will.
Well, I ran into Max Vanderpool. The sheriff, as I was coming out of the courthouse.
That refugee from High Noon?
I inquired about the lie detector test. He told me pretty much what I expected, that the state police had it. It was their test. If we wanted any results, I had to go to them.
I'd say that's a mighty good sign Mrs. Mannion passed the test.
Well, I'd agree with you, but the results of the lie detector test aren't admissible in court anyway.
No, but what the papers call the alleged rape is absolutely central to our case, and Mitch Ladwick is going to do everything but move Lake Superior to Idaho to keep it out of the trial. Now, everything we know or can guess that indicates Laura Mannion told the truth about it is helpful. Now, what about a psychiatrist?
Well, the Army will provide one. We have to get him downstate to Bellevue Army Hospital to see Dr. Matthew Smith. He's a captain. The sheriff will see that he gets there and back.
All right. When he gets back, I want you to ask him one question. One simple, uncomplicated question.
What's that?
I want you to ask him this. If you didn't intend to kill Barney when you went to the bar with the loaded gun, just what did you intend to do?
Isn't that dangerous? Who knows what he'll say?
Sure, it's dangerous. But ask him anyway, and make him answer.
You sure you know what you're doing?
No. But I have one hell of a hunch.
Well, I'll ask him. But I want you there to hear the answer.
I'll be glad to be there. Anyway, if I'm going to wreck your case for you, the least I can do is answer present when it happens. One final thing, Polly.
What's that?
We've got to keep the opposition from pawing over our man with any of their psychiatrists.
How can I do that? As soon as I file my notice of an insanity claim, which I have to file, Mitch Lodwick files his petition to get a crack at him, and I have to let him have it, or I risk contempt of court.
So, let him have it. We simply tell our man to clam up and tell the people's psychiatrist to go fly a kite. If Mannion won't talk, who's going to make him talk? They can't threaten to jail him for contempt. Poor bastard's already there. And you're in the clear, Polly. You cooperated. Anyway, the whole procedure of psychiatry to be effective presumes ardent cooperation from the subject. So, what kind of a psychiatric evaluation would they have if he wouldn't play ball?
Arno McCarthy, you're one sneaky old lovable bastard.
Always happens to be a lovable, sneaky young bastard when he gets old. And now this lovable, sneaky old bastard has some law books to look into.
Now we gotta get up to Thunder Bay to nose around and look into a few facts.
And no fishing along the way, you lonesome trout murderer.
We're not open.
I know, I'm Paul Bigler from Chippewa.
Makes no difference. We're still not open. Come back in half an hour.
I don't want to drink. I'm Lieutenant Mannion's lawyer.
Congratulations.
I just wanted to ask a few questions.
I'm listening.
Well, were you here during the shooting?
Yeah. Of course
Well, I just thought we could talk a little about what happened.
Maybe. Then again, maybe not.
Well, look, Paquette, talk to me or not, I couldn't care less. I'll get my crack at you in the court, and we'll bloody well have to talk about money. I just thought we could save each other a lot of time if you could tell me some facts that I need to find out, and I promise you I will find them out.
Like what?
Well, for starters, where Barney and the lieutenant were when the shots were fired.
I didn't see any shots fired.
Well, where were you?
I was standing out on the floor talking to some customers.
Well, who took over at the bar?
Mr. Quill, he relieved me so I could have a rest.
And you rested by standing out on the floor talking to some customers. Where were they? The pinball machine, or the stairs, or the piano? Or was there a table over there by the outside door?
The outside door.
Why were you standing, and why there?
What goddamn difference does it make? I was standing because I wanted to stand. And I was over there because the customers I was talking to were sitting over there.
And also because you could keep an eye out for anybody that might be coming in.
Nah.
So in any event, Barney was behind the bar alone when Manning came in?
Yeah, that's right.
How long had he relieved you?
About an hour.
What time did he leave you?
Around midnight.
What time was the shooting?
At 12:46 exactly.
How do you know that?
Because after the first shot, I wheeled around and looked at the clock.
Well, then you would have seen some of the other shots fired, right, Mr. Paquette?
I saw Lieutenant Mannion standing up on the bar rail, leaning over and pointing at something down behind the bar.
And that something was Barney Quill, wasn't it?
Yeah, as it turned out.
Where exactly at the bar was the lieutenant standing?
Between the service rails. It was the only open spot. The bar itself was crowded.
And then what happened?
Well, then the lieutenant turned and walked out almost as soon as I turned around. I ran out the door after him. When I got outside, he says to me, "So do you want some tube buster?"
What did you do?
No, sir. Ran back up inside.
Was Barney regularly in the habit of relieving you behind the bar?
Sometime.
Well, in the 2 weeks before the shooting, had he relieved you then? Remember, I can check.
He just didn't happen to relieve me during that time period.
Well, how about the month before the shooting?
I don't know.
Try again.
No. He hadn't relieved me.
He just happened to relieve you on the night that he just happened to beat up and rape your man. Look, chum, did he tell you to stay the hell away from the bar so you wouldn't get hurt? And then plank you over there by the door for an hour so you could keep an eye out for the lieutenant and warn Barney when he was coming?
Who said Barney raped her?
You doubt it?
I wasn't there.
Well, you weren't there, but I just asked if you doubt he raped her.
Yeah, I doubt it. And if he laid her at all, which I also doubt, because she was willing. Anybody can see she's a floozy.
One friendly tip, not a question.
What?
Don't remove the gun shelf from behind the bar. It's too late. I've already seen it. You should have gotten rid of it before the police came, when you got rid of the pistols. Lieutenant, how was your trip downstate?
The change from this place, but that's about all I can say for it.
Lieutenant, I want you to meet my associate, Mr. Parnell McCarthy.
Happy to know you, Lieutenant.
Thanks.
Did you get to see Dr. Smith?
I did.
All right.
Polly, you promised.
Now?
Now.
Can it wait?
No, now.
All right, I'll ask you.
What?
Lieutenant, I'm going to ask you one question. And I need an honest answer, but I want you to think very hard before you answer. All right?
Shoot.
If you didn't intend to kill Barney Quill that night you went to his bar with a loaded pistol, what were you going to do?
To grab him, to get my hands on him I knew he shouldn't be at large. Don't you see, I couldn't rest with this animal still at large. I had to go grab him and hold him.
Grab him and hold him for whom?
For the cops, I guess. All I knew was that I had a feeling I had to get him before he skipped it, or maybe before he came and got me. That's how mixed up it all was. I simply had to get him.
To kill him.
No. No, not to kill him. To stop him. But I'll be honest. I would have killed him if he made a false move.
Well, I guess that's a complete answer, and I'll just leave it rest right there. Now, what did Dr. Smith have to say?
He said I was nuttier than the proverbial fruitcake.
But what did he call me?
Oh, Lord, I can't begin to tell you, but he's even got me convinced now.
Weren't you convinced before, Lieutenant?
Well, yes, of course, but he sort of laid it all out for me. It's hard to explain. You'll see.
I told you to have him to put it in a nutshell.
These guys never speak in nutshells, Counselor. I don't think they know how. Let's see. He said that when I shot Barney, I was suffering from dissociative reaction, whatever that is. Something sometimes known as irresistible impulse.
What?
Irresistible impulse.
He said that? Those very words?
I'm sure of it.
Holly, I think we got a chance. I think we got a chance.
If the defendant was not capable of knowing he was doing wrong in the particular action, or if he had not the power to resist the impulse to do the act, that would be an unsound mind. The fact that one accused of committing a crime may have been able to comprehend the nature and consequences of his act, and to know that it was wrong, nevertheless, if he was forced to its execution by an impulse which he was powerless to control, he'll be excused. Where? What states?
Oh, Alabama, Arkansas, good old Georgia, Louisiana,
Are you killing me? What's going on?
and then good old rebel Yankee, Michigan, founded in 70 American law reports, beautifully annotated.
What case?
People versus Durfee, 62 Michigan, 487, way back in 1886.
He had not the power to resist the impulse to do the act. What an indescribably lovely line. What a beautiful jury instruction it'll make.
Hail to the adult Durfees.
Look here now, what does all this mean to me?
Oh, Lieutenant, you've got yourself two lawyers.
What happened? It's not payday yet.
Oh, the heck with pay. Why, your chances of just taking a